First, I'm going to start with a history lesson. In 1975, this fellow was in charge, or for most of it anyway. And in 1975, his government instituted the Australian honours system, replacing the imperial honours system we had since Federation. So this brought into Australian lexicon the companion of the Order of Australia and other similar medals. Later that year, this guy took over. I'm not going to go into it, it was a whole thing. But he liked the Australian honour system, but also added in the Knights and Dames designation, so that we would have sirs and ladies in Australia. And so that was later in 1976, I believe. This larrikin, he was elected in 1983 from the last bloke. And in 1986, his government removed the Knights and Dames from the Australian honour system. And over the next 20 years, we had a similar prime ministerial replacement system. So previously, over the previous 15 years or so, we had 3. Over the next 20 years, we only had another 2. And then things went crazy. We had this guy, we had this lady, and this guy again, this guy. It was a good time when they changed the Prime Minister to check your smoke alarm batteries. About the same. But it was during this fella's tenure, in 2014, he reinstituted the Knights and Dames. And I think as a population, we all collectively rolled our eyes and said, yeah, okay, whatever. Until in 2015, he gave a knighthood to this fella. Now, you think he's got enough honours given to him over time? Well, that seemed to have been one of the straws that broke the camel's back. And when this fella turned up, they removed the Knights and Dames. Now, I want to read this out so I get the term correctly, and these aren't reading glasses, distance. This is the Honourable Michael Kirby, who was a High Court judge, and after he retired, he wrote this in an article for the Australian Law Journal. Australia returned to the egalitarian arrangements by which the highest rank in its honour system was companion. That rank confers no pre-nominal title. It would appear most unlikely that the titles of Knight and Dame will return to Australia. Once again, Australia has showed that while prepared to tolerate the system of constitutional monarchy, they are basically uncomfortable with titles that draw distinction for citizens and signify different ranks among them. So that is taken from an article he wrote called The Queen and Her Dominion Governors, Titles, Honorifics and the Royal Succession in Post-Imperial Australia. So, with all that said, with all that history lesson in the back of your minds, why do we do it at Rostrum? At Rostrum, we have the concept of Freeman. And there's a few of us in the room today. And I am dead proud of being nominated and awarded the title of Freeman back in 2022. It took me by surprise and I was just totally overwhelmed. Having been in Rostrum for a long time and put my efforts and volunteering service into the organisation, I was dead chuffed to be called a Freeman. But do you have to stumble over the title every meeting? When I'm introduced to a bright spot at a Rostrum Club meeting with a couple of new members there, that have no idea that they might have walked into a Freemasons meeting. Or, I don't know, whether I'd only just been released from jail. Who knows? I don't think I need it. I love the recognition and I'll cherish it for all my life. but I've got an idea, and that's what today is about. And it's more than just playing around with the title of Freeman. So let's get back to the Order of Australia. We have the companion, we have an officer, we have a member, and we have the medal. And so if you're awarded any of these honours in Australia, so Bob Smith got a companion of the Order of Australia, and he now becomes Bob Smith AC. They still introduce him as Bob when he walks into a room or when he gets up to talk. Me, in my private life, I've done a number of studies, and I've also got certain memberships with different organisations that are relating to my career. And so this is what the end of my name looks like at the moment. I've got a Bachelor of Commerce and a Master of Information Systems and Technology from Curtin, and I'm also a CCBA, which is a certification of competency in business analysis, and I'm a business analyst. Back in a previous life, I worked in the insurance industry, and before I had my degrees, I did a diploma of business, but I was also doing insurance studies, and so I was Matthew Lane with a diploma of business, a member of the Australian and New Zealand Institute of Insurance and Finance as a senior associate member, and a CIP, which is a certified insurance professional. I haven't kept up that designation because I no longer work in the industry. And we'd be familiar with other organisations that use post-nominals to identify membership or levels of study. We've got a few of these in the room, I believe. I'm looking at Simon, I think, is on his LinkedIn. Economic Society of Australia. I was actually one of these as well, PMS ESA, because my commerce degree was economics as well. They would throw this designation out to anyone with economics, as long as you turned up to the meetings and paid your dues, but had to do the degree first. We've got financial planners, CFPs. You've seen this at doctor's surgeries all over the place. FRACPER and FLACPER, there's probably a better way of pronouncing those, but CPAs, we all know what they are. And the Australian Computer Society, different levels of membership based on various studies or activities that you get involved with. So my big idea is that all financial members get a post-nominal. You get a post-nominal. You get a post-nominal. You get a post-nominal. Everyone gets a post-nominal. Glad everyone recognises that meme. So, this is just pie in the sky thinking. It needs a bit of probably committee work or something, but this is an idea that I'd like to institute. So all financial members get the following post-nominal. The word Rostrum, and then in brackets, if you're a Freeman, then you get Freeman. You get your speaking level, and the C if you're a coach. I'll show you how that works. So if you're starting out as a new member, then you become Rostrum ELS, or entry-level speaker. It demonstrates that you're starting on your journey and you're associated with Rostrum. If you've completed Launchpad, you get CS, competent speaker. Completed the Orbit program, you become an intermediate speaker. We can come up with better words for this, that's fine. And if you've completed the Galactic program, you got your certificate, you become an accomplished speaker. If you're an accredited coach, we add a C to the end of that 2 or 3 letter. Well, you wouldn't be a coach as an entry-level speaker, you need to have completed Launchpad. And Freeman would be prepended to all that. I like the word prepended. So for example, me, I've completed Orbit, and I'm a Freeman, and I'm also an accredited coach. So on my LinkedIn, I could put Rostrum, Freeman, ISC. And then people would ask me, what's this Rostrum? Get the name out surreptitiously. Josephina Blogs, I don't know if you've met her yet, but she has completed her Launchpad, and so she would be Rostrum CS. Bill Heffalump, he's only just joined. He's on his launch pad, and so he'd be Rostrum ELS. And I chose someone just at random. I went through the membership list and just thought I'd identify. So I'm assuming that because you came up with the idea for Galactic, or you developed it, that you must have finished it. So David Price would be a Freeman and ASC. So, like I said, this is not definitive. These are ideas that I've had a conversation with Copilot to get some ideas on how to do it, and I've refined it a little bit, but it really needs input from the wider Rostrum organisation. And we need to answer two questions first. Should we do it? Should we replace the title of Freeman with a post-nominal system, which may or may not include speaking competency? So I think that's a question we need to ask the wider organisation as Rostrum Clubs of WA. This might not be a good idea, I don't know. The Freeman might be bristling at this moment and going to lynch me out in the car park, I don't know. But if that's the way that the general population of Rostrum Clubs of WA wants to go, then would you be interested in helping us come up with a proposal for the Australian Rostrum Council? Because the title of Freeman comes from Australian Rostrum. We need to make a change to their constitution, and so we need to put in that effort to be able to present a proposal. So this makes more sense now, doesn't it? Just moving it to the back. And that's my big idea.